Okay, this is my first post, but I feel the need to share for any non-believers of the paranormal. Just a little backstory first. My family has always been in tune with the other side. I believe it all started when my grandpa's grandfather married a gypsy, but that's a story for another time. Although my whole entire family has experienced the paranormal throughout their lives, I didn't get an encounter until I was about 12. That was when I saw my first actual shadow-like figure. Let's make this my first story. It's short so you can get a feel of how these stories are going to go. My mom is a very hardworking single mother, and growing up we lived in a lot of apartments. No big deal. This must have been the biggest apartment we lived in, almost more of a townhome. Anyways, to get to the living area you would walk in the door. To the left side was a garage. Straight ahead were stairs to the actual apartment. Once you get up the stairs, you walk into the kitchen and living room. To the left you would be in my mother's room. To the right would be a hallway with 2 rooms and a bathroom. My room was the first room to the left of the hallway, so it wasn't very far down the hall. I had double doors to enter my room, and the doors could be pushed open. To help you understand this, think of opening a dryer door to get your clothes out. It makes a pop sound once it opens, and another once it closes. This is how my room doors were. It requires some force to open the doors, but not too much. After we moved in, everything was quiet, up until about 2 months in. Every school day, I would be the last to leave the apartment and the first to get home. After school, I started noticing when I got home the door to my room would be wide open. This started to become more and more common, but I would distinctly remember closing my door before leaving to school. I began to feel like I was constantly being watched, or as if I wasn't alone. One night, maybe around 2 or 3 a.m., I was woken up by the pop in my door. It slowly began to open. After eyes adjusted to the darkness of the hallway, it was obvious that nothing was there. The next morning, I asked my family if any of them came into my room to check if I was asleep, or if anything weird was happening to them. All answers were no. This became an every night thing, so I just learned to ignore it. One afternoon, my cousin came over to spend the night. Let's call her Dee. We were the only ones home. We were making dinner and watching movies. Yes, very self-sufficient 12 and 11-year-olds. Me and Dee went to the kitchen to wash up. The sink was in the island, so you can see straight to the TV in the living room and still have a perfect view down the hall. As I was washing my hands and Dee was standing next to me, we both froze and looked into my bedroom door. It just opened by itself, and in the doorway was a large, dark shadow standing there. Or floating, we couldn't see the legs. I grabbed my cousin's hand and squeezed hard. I didn't even notice how hard I was grabbing her at the time. The shadow gave off a masculine feel, and there was nothing to confirm it was a man, but that's the vibe it gave off. The shadow then quickly swept down the hall, and in one blink it was gone. The whole encounter lasted probably 1 solid minute, but it felt like hours. Our hearts were racing, and me and Dee looked at each other to make sure we weren't imagining things. After this night, I never saw the shadow again, and my door stopped opening on its own. It's almost like the ghost was caught and it didn't feel the need to play tricks on me anymore. Weird. Compared to my other encounters, this was a friendly ghost.
Number 2.
A couple of years ago, my family went on a vacation to Bodie, California. We stayed at multiple historic hotels, and in one, I have an experience I will never forget. My parents shared a room, and my sister and I each had our own. This hotel was built in the early 1800s for gold miners and people of the such, so needless to say, this place had a very rustic feel. The walls were brick, and there was even scorch marks from a fire in the 1870s. This will prove of significance. So my room was on the other side of the hall from my parents and sisters. It was our second night there, and ever since I got my room, I had a strange feeling when in the room. I just got the feeling I wasn't alone. Not like I was being watched, but like there was someone, or rather, something in the room. I shrugged it off, summing it up to the fact that the building was old. So it was around 3:15 a.m. when I woke from the smell of smoke. It wasn't like paper, but was like wood and fabric. They have a very distinct smell when burned. I sat up and looked around the room, looking for any sort of glow indicating a fire, but saw nothing. I figured it was just from the scorch marks in the room. Doesn't make sense, I know, but I was tired and just wanted to dismiss it. When I settled back down, I heard a scratching noise on the wooden floor. Opening my eyes, I listened, and it was soon followed by tapping, as if something with claws was walking on the floor. I could hear the tapping of nails, and it was in the pattern of something crawling on all fours. I froze. Having grown up with dogs, I knew the sound by heart, though this didn't move in the same rhythm. It sounded as if something was using its hands to hoist its hind legs up and forward, sort of like a chimp, I guess. The sound came from the bathroom, and it made its way to my side of the bed. I was frozen, absolutely terrified, but what pushed me over the edge was when I heard the sound of gum smacking. I was on the verge of tears as I just laid still, trying not to make any noise. It was a few moments later when I felt my covers being grabbed and tugged and slowly pulled off of me. I couldn't keep quiet and let out a whimper, and the moment I did, my blankets were yanked off and I heard the bathroom door slam shut. That was when I grabbed my phone, got up and bolted out of my room. I ran downstairs sobbing, leaving the hotel and calling my stepdad's cousin who lived a few miles away to come get me. She got me and called my mom and stepdad and told them that she was taking me to her house. Once our stay was over, I refused to go back in the room. But from what I was told by my sister, when she went to pack my things, the comforter, sheets, and pillows were strung around the room.
Number 3.
I answered the phone and immediately heard Gary's voice, desperate, pleading, and terrified. In a barely audible whisper, he said,
"Listen, I don't have much time. If I show up at your house today, don't let me in. No matter what I say, don't open the door. It might look and sound like me, but..."
The call ended abruptly before I could even mentally process a response. I stood there for a long moment, staring at the phone as if my gaze could interrogate it into an explanation. Before I could fully wrap my head around what I had just heard, 4 rapid knocks rattled the front door. "Hey, it's me, Gary. Open up." Hey guys, it's ListenToMeSpeak. I just want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay tuned for more stories.